Is cancel culture a con that's being used to silence everyone, no matter what side of the debate you're on? Let's think about it. I had an amazing conversation with the brilliant former footballer John Barnes, world-class athlete who obviously happens to be a black person as well. He's written a new book on race, there's a link to it in the description, and John Barnes' views are very surprising. I tell you why, because he incorporates ideas of class and is very keen to point out how ordinary people from any background can be turned against one another using the kind of ideas and motifs of cancel culture, that we can't have open, fair discussions around race, gender, sexuality. And like me, John Barnes believes that ordinary people have got to learn to get on with one another, no matter where you're from or how you identify, and that actually most people truly believe that. Have a look at this video, stay to the end, there's genuine education in there, and if you enjoy it, perhaps you'll consider signing up to Luminary, the podcast where these conversations take place every week under the skin. Have a look.
Also, as a massive footballer, one of the best footballers of your generation, one of the best footballers this country has ever produced, how come you've not been homogenized into not saying stuff like this? You know, like when you got stuck in with the Liam Neeson thing, you know, like that became one of those moments that the culture produces from time to time. Liam Neeson, it sounded like was incredibly candid about something, and it created a real furore. And I noticed you were one of the people that spoke out about that, and because of the fact you're a black man, you were able to speak about it in a way that other people wouldn't. How come you're willing to do that? And say, with regard to that particular incident, what do you think that was really about?
Well, because I have to be true to myself. Ever since I was young, I can't do, because of course I've been offered positions in institutions, but of course you then have to toe the party line. As Rafiq Asim has said, that he knows so many people are now being offered positions in these institutions to shut them up. But we as black people say, no, we want those positions in institutions because we'll make it better. Now, we are wrong. He is right. Once you get into an institution, you have to be careful who you point the finger at. So the Liam Neeson situation, I listened to the context and the nuances surrounding that. You have to listen to the whole context as to what I actually meant. The first telltale sign of what that was about was the question. The question to Liam Neeson was, has revenge, his film was about revenge, you talk about his film, has revenge ever played a negative part in your life? That's the question. Has it played a negative part in your life? There you go. He said, yes, it played a negative part in my life because for 1 week in the 70s, when my cousin got raped by a black guy, I wanted to kill any black person. For 1 week. He said, after a week, I was horrified and disgusted with the way I felt. I went to the priest, I sought help, I was introspective, and I never had that again. We didn't hear that. All we heard was, I wanted to kill a black person. So that's why they came down hard on him. Now, if anybody, we then can't talk about, well, why did he want to kill a black person? It shouldn't have been a black, whatever. We can't judge because we're not in that situation. Now, can anybody come and have this honest conversation? Not about killing a black person, but if you're a woman and you're walking down the road and some black youths come towards you, you feel uncomfortable, you grip your handbag, you cross the road. Now, that's not wanting to kill a black person, but that is still because of negative perception of black people. Now, can she have that conversation after what happened to Liam Neeson? No, because you're going to get called racist and be fired and be cancelled. So we can't have an honest conversation about the way we have been conditioned to think, because as soon as you mention what is the way you feel, you're going to get cancelled. Now, a truth and reconciliation, like they had in Rwanda, is not just about the victims. It's about the people who actually did it, coming forward and saying, listen, this is what I did, but I was conditioned to do it. I was forced to do it. I was wrong. So please don't want to kill me or cancel me. Let us now move forward together. But in our country, we're not doing that. We're saying, as long as you keep your mouth shut, it doesn't matter what you think, you'll get away with it. And we wait for the ones to get caught, point the finger at them, and then convince ourselves that everything else is okay, apart from the ones who get caught.
Yes, because that's what's happened as well, isn't it? Is like that the racism that exists is the result of cultural conditioning. The cultural conditioning doesn't take place in the minds of individuals. It takes place necessarily in the
society.
Culture, in society. Then the individuals act out on that acculturation. Then the society's changed its mind now because it's convenient and goes, the individuals.
Yeah. But I say to these young people now, when you talk about language, when you talk about colored, because colored people exist, regardless of whether we believe it or not. Because if you go to South Africa, there's a group of people who are colored, and you can call them colored, and you can't call them black. In Norway, you can't call people black. So the context and the intent is much more important than the language that's used. And if you're from a particular time where you use a particular type of language, then the intent is important. So I say to these young people now, who whatever they want to call them now, we have theys now and different kinds of groups of people. Now, in 30 years' time, when that language changes, are you then going to say, oh, what about when you are now in your 60s? Are people then going to cancel and sack you because you're used to saying a particular thing? So intent is always the most important thing, not the language.
Wow. Yeah. So what you're promoting then, John, an open, ongoing conversation that affords redemption, forgiveness, and a kind of what do I want to say, good faith conversation where the game isn't vengeance, judgment, but a sort of a kind of a collusion in order to reach solution.
Well, that's a part of it. The biggest part of it is to change the perception of blackness, change the perception of what it is to be female, change the perception of what it is to be gay, change the perception of what it is to be northern, and not to change the perception of an elite black person, an elite woman, an elite gay person, an elite northerner, and believe that we are now moving forward because we have black people in these positions, because that has happened for a long period of time. Now, what will happen once we change the perception of the average black person, the average woman, the average gay person, the average northerner, the average Irish person, whatever you want to say, disenfranchised group, what will happen to that group of people is that for the majority of them, they will be in the exact same place that they are. But they won't be there because they're black, because they're woman, because they're gay, because they're northern. They'll be there because as human beings, we have this innate quality to wake up and work harder than other people, to be cleverer in terms of what modern ideas of being clever are in the last 400 years. And we have lots of lazy people who, so when you talk about equality doesn't exist. We want an equal opportunity. But we believe in Wakanda from a black perspective, that once we have equality, all black people will be brilliant and be prime ministers and be rappers and be singers and be doctors. And if you want an example of why that doesn't work, look at the white working class. Because if we live in a white society that rules the world, why are there so many white poor people who are disenfranchised? And that has got nothing to do with race. That has to do with one's natural ability in terms of how we view natural ability in this day and age, which isn't particularly right anyway, but that's the way it is. But we as black people, as women, feel that once we have equality, all women will be equal. All black people will be equal, but we will just be like white society where the vast majority of us will still be exactly where we are.
Yes.
But not because we're black or not because we're gay or not because we're female.
Well, what do you think? Do you feel stymied and stifled? Or alternatively, are you from a group, or do you love someone that's from a group where you feel like, no, man, we've got to change the way that we communicate? Is it some blend of both? Can we get there together? Can we collaborate and cooperate together so that people, no matter who they are, feel welcomed and loved? So we create an inclusive, incorporative society where everyone feels like they've got a voice, but we're not tricked into around with each other the whole time. Have a look at John Barnes' book. Maybe consider signing up to my podcast on Luminary if you want to. But please, importantly, let me know in the comments below what you think. Give us a thumbs up, subscribe, turn that notification bell on, sign up to my mailing list as well, and you'll know what I'm reading, what I'm thinking, what's going on. I mean, I'm reading this book, I'm reading this book. I love this guy, he's fantastic. And if you enjoyed this conversation, have a look at this one. That's the other side of the coin, all right. My chat with Kehinde Andrews there. You'll enjoy watching a little bit of that. Please look at my Awakening side channel where I talk about meditation techniques, respiration techniques, so that you make yourself strong enough to cope in this crazy world. Also, please come and see me live. If in 2022 you find yourself in the UK between Jan and May, I'm performing live all over the show. It'll be fantastic. Stay free.